Hello everybody, I'm just at one of my favourite places, a cemetery again. I'm just at the historic old Pontville Cemetery, which is heading out of Hobart on the way to Launceston. And I've been here many a time, and yeah, lots of Freemason families buried here. Again, there's the Freemasonic handshake, the secret handshake that they do, so that they know who's who in the big club that we're not in. A lot of, as Karen Brewer from New Zealand, who I admire and watch a lot of her work, because back in 2020 she was really doing some good videos and revealing the Freemason de Malay families here in Australia. And she's got a funny way of describing some of these headstones, so I might have a crack. Look at these with the urn. Huh? Another one there with an urn. All satanic ritual sacrifice. So let's go over to the older part over here. And yeah, there's a couple of these headstones that I'll describe them the way that Karen Brewer has described them. And she'd call this one a nice uncircumcised penis shape. Again, the Freemasonic religion, because that's what it is, it's all based on sex magic, and they like to put all this right in our face. Here's another one, and as Karen Brewer would say, this one is a uncircumcised penis. But interesting that this one has a wreath with a hand holding onto it. So I've seen a lot of grave, these pillars with this wreath that's around the top of them. I know a lot of friends have family members buried out here. This is near Brighton. I was just at the old Brighton Army camp, because that's where I did my recruitment course for the Army Reserves. When I was 19, I joined the Army Reserves with intention to join the regs, because I do come from a military family. My dad was in the military, my uncle was in the military, and my first cousin Philip was also in the military, and I was going to join them, but something stopped me from going into the regs. I even tried to have a crack at trying to get into the Navy, but that didn't happen either, obviously for good reasons. There we have again the Freemasonic handshake on a uncircumcised penis shaped headstone, as Karen Brewer would say. Well, we've got quite the family over here. They're wrought iron. How many of you here are responsible for genocide of the original Tasmanians? I'm going to take you up here because I've always been fascinated with this church. It's very interestingly built, very interesting architecture. Oh, who's over here? So just out there used to be the Brighton rifle range. I don't think it's there anymore, but that's where I first learned how to fire a SLR, which is the former weapon before the new Styler that was brought in, the semi-automatic that the military use now. And I'll never forget, because the SLR has quite a big kick when you release the trigger, and I got a massive black eye from the pullback of the SLR. And everyone laughed at me because they said, "Oh, you didn't hold your weapon properly," because we did in the army. You don't call guns guns, you call them your weapons. And when I went camping with the Army Reserves, we used to have to sleep with our weapons too. Obviously, because they're there to save your life. Anyway, let's just go up here and have a look at the old church. So I'm just at beautiful old Pontville, which is just north of Hobart. It's just out of Brighton, little old historic town. What's this? Beautiful old cottages out here. Oh, someone's here. I think this is a Church of England. I don't think it's Catholic. So this used to be the old highway down here to Launceston, but now we've got a new highway. Oh yeah, this is an Anglican church. Have a look at this, folks. We've got the pillars happening here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5, 6, 7. We've got the 2 pillars here. The twin pillars. The twin pillars. Twin towers. Even on this side, there's like 2 pillars or two towers. This is open. Let's just have a little look. Ah, it's locked. They never used to lock the old churches down here, but they have now. As you can see, there's just a beautiful old historic home here, and that's been there for years. So I'm leaving Hobart today and heading back up north. It's been, I've lost track of time. You know, when you travel and all that, you just lose track of time. It's actually a nice thing not to have to live your life by the clock all the time. The Saturn clock. that keeps us in this matrix program, because time is an illusion. I'm just going to see if I can show you Mount Wellington just in the distance. Yeah, there's beautiful Mount Wellington, or Kanyana. I think that's what it's called in by the original tribes. Yeah, so this area has become quite built up with new homes, and since it used to be an old country town, I can't say I am impressed with what I've seen that's been happening in Hobart. I mean, they're building all these new buildings and houses, and they're all next to these heritage buildings, and it just doesn't look right. And they're building them into the hills now. And yeah, interesting that a lot of Chinese own businesses in Hobart now. That really stood out to me, just like Melbourne. And as my 90-year-old stepfather has said to me several times now, he goes, I always knew China would try and take over Australia. And that's coming from a 90-year-old. We're going to fight for our country, and we are. It's what we're here to do, especially of those who are awake and have elevated their consciousness from this Saturn moon matrix that's enslaved humanity for a very long time. So I'm heading up to Ross. I'm going through the Midlands of Tasmania, and I can't wait to get to Ross, because that's where my ancestors were laid to rest. And I love Ross. It's got a great feel with it, and I can really feel into what it would have been like for my ancestors living there. What do you reckon, folks? Do you reckon that's an old Tartarian building? Let's have a look. I've got a lot of question marks. Anyway, I'm going to keep moving on, heading up to the north of the state. Yes, I do love graveyards. I've always loved coming to graveyards. Doesn't matter what or where they are. I find that when you come to a graveyard, it's a really good place to reflect. It's peaceful. But to really reflect on your own life and where you're heading, and, you know, connect with your ancestors and lost loved ones. But graveyards to me have always told many stories. And yeah, I don't mind hanging out with the dead, because the dead can't hurt you, only the living. Anyway, folks, when I get to Ross, I'm going to do another video. So ciao for now.